There's only one question you must ask yourself today. When was the last time you can say you really felt immersed in a game? I want you to think about what game that was that had you sitting on the edge of your seat, waiting for the story to continue. Or maybe taking a stroll around the environment, just soaking in the world. I want you to think about how the world made you feel and what made it so engaging. I want you to take that memory and answer for me. What makes a game immersive? This is a very broad subject that I thought about for a while, and I didn't really know how to fit it into a video. When it comes to immersion in video games, it refers to the extent to which a player becomes fully engaged and absorbed within the virtual world of a game. It's like being transported into a game's environment. I think probably the easiest example to give of this is when you put on a virtual reality headset and play a game for the first time. For the first time ever, you are the character in the story, literally. You are the one walking around. The NPCs are speaking directly to you. You must interact with the game world by more than likely doing the actions yourself, whether that is actually knocking an arrow into your bow, unsheathing a sword, climbing up a ladder, opening a door, or whatever it may be. I know you guys have seen those videos of people playing VR and completely forgetting that they even have a headset on. For those who have never played VR, you might not know what I'm talking about but for those who have, you know that the feeling is completely different to just playing a 2D game. When I first got my VR headset, the first game I played was VR Chat. I had already been playing VR Chat for hours upon hours, and I wanted to play the game because I knew I was missing out on something special. It always felt like I was playing 50% of the game, and I was never able to know what the other side was like. When I played it for the first time in VR, it was a night and day difference. Being able to actually wield items or play the VR only games, being able to actually look around my head, being able to actually be expressive by using my hands. The proximity voice chat makes you feel like you're actually talking to people in a room. The scale of everything becomes far more apparent when you're in VR. It was a new type of immersion that I've never experienced before, and it made it feel like an entirely new game. And that's only one part of the immersion spectrum. Virtual reality delivers an unparalleled level of engagement, but it's just one facet of the rich tapestry that is immersion in gaming. While strapping on a VR headset takes you right into the heart of the action, there are various other ways that games have been immersing us for years. Let's dive deeper into the different types of immersion that can make gaming an art form beyond its visuals. Okay, so we know what immersion is and what it feels like, but how is it created? Well, there are many things that can work hand in hand or sometimes independently that go towards this. Video and audio realism are a good place for us to start. There have been many graphical improvements over the past few years that have allowed games to really come to life and push the realism style even further. Some examples of these games are Modern Warfare 2, Outlast, Red Dead Redemption 2, or Gran Turismo 7. These games all have some form of realistic look to them, and they're all different genres of games to show that it's not just limited to just one genre. In all these games, the audio helps to really heighten the immersion as well. It can be things such as sneaking through a house and hearing the floorboards creak as you step on them one by one, or you can hear the whispers of other people in the house, or driving on a racetrack listening to the rainfall around you and the sounds of the cars racing through it, or something really simple like just hearing the sounds of horses' hooves hitting the ground over and over. It's these things that can really bring a scene to life. To expand upon that even further, another aspect of immersion is sound design. While we spoke earlier upon how the audio and visuals can work together to form a sense of realism, that doesn't exactly cover all of the audio intricacies you may hear in a game. Sound design is arguably more important than the visuals for a game. While something can captivate you from a visual standpoint, the audio can make a scene 5 times more dramatic, sad, or impactful. A great example is within the Outlast trials. There's a trial in the game in which you must use a saw to cut this guy's legs off while he's crucified. They have you and the other players push the saw back and forth trying to cut the guy's legs off. Hearing the sound of the saw slowly cut into the guy's flesh deeper and deeper while the guy screams in agony until the legs are finally cut off and it's nothing but silence. The only sound playing is the eerie soundtrack that is playing in the background. This was easily one of the most disturbing scenes I have ever seen in a game that I as the player was forced to do. Me and my friend sat speechless for a moment, processing what happened. There are probably some great boss fights that you can remember that the boss music is just etched into your mind, because a great boss fight has to have some great music to make it even more epic. I love the final boss fight from Remnant 2, in a major part to the sound design. The music was already epic when you first get in, but then the vibe completely changes as you go into phase 2, and it really feels like a "oh shit, here we go" moment. The audio cues via the nice sounds for when the boss was attacking were amazing, along with his attacks all sounding as devastating as they looked visually. The glitch sound effect for when the boss teleported you between the two dimensions, everything in this boss fight made it a spectacle and had me on the edge of my seat until literally the last hit. Other than the bosses themselves, your character abilities and attacks also need to sound as devastating or as impactful to match their visuals. When you hit an enemy with the ultimate attack, it needs to sound like an ultimate attack. It needs to sound meatier than every other attack. It needs to be louder. It needs to have its own distinct sound effects. An example I use it for is Benimaru's attack in Fire Force, in the video I made of what makes a game impactful. But for a gaming example, I will say the summons in Final Fantasy. When you are finally able to call in a summon, it can change the tides of battle in a single instant, and you know, no matter what, it's about to unleash the most devastating attacks known to man. There are plenty of other things I could say to showcase sound design, like using different effects to really bring a certain thing to life, such as using the Pip-Boy in Fallout and switching between screens, hearing the clicks and the sound of the screen refreshing itself, along with turning on the radio and hearing all them old ass songs as it adds to the vibe. Or in Outlast Trials, speaking to your teammates, sound like you're actually talking to them in a room until you get a certain distance, then you start to hear them through a walkie-talkie. And on top of that, depending on your sanity level, their voices become distorted and you actually can't hear them anymore. Or in Hellblade's Senua's Sacrifice, due to the 3D audio tricks in that game, hearing the different voices in your head as you're playing. There are so many examples I can give on sound design, but I think you get it by now. What I don't get is how you are this far in the video and you haven't liked the video yet. But since you're doing that, I would appreciate it if you went ahead and subbed as well. Okay. Let's get you back into being immersed in this YouTube video. Storytelling and narrative is another part of the immersion spectrum. A compelling story and well-developed characters can pull players into the game world. Well-written narratives can make players emotionally invested and more connected to the game. Unless you aren't a big story guy, there definitely has been a time that you've experienced this before, where you are playing a game and you're like, damn, I wonder what happens next, eager to advance the main story for it. Sometimes it's not even the main story. It can be something with the side characters where they have a certain quest line going on that draws you in. One that comes to mind for me is the White Glove Society in Fallout New Vegas, where it starts out with you trying to find someone's son, then quickly turns to a murder mystery as you uncover the secrets of the hotel, as everything isn't what it seems, and it was extremely interesting and held my attention the entire time. Or a game like Danganronpa, where the whole game is a murder mystery, and it was very engaging to play with its little plot twist. A good story can get you from point A to point B, but a great story is one that is able to get your emotional investment, one that can make you hate a villain, make you sad when one of the characters die, and cheer for a character's success. When I played The Walking Dead Season 1 for the first time, back when I was in high school, I cried. Playing the game the whole time as Lee and seeing in episode 4 how he had gotten bitten, and you know the inevitable is going to happen. You know Lee is going to die. You know his time is coming to an end, and he's going to turn. You can see him get sicker and sicker as the game goes on, as he tries to protect Clementine with everything he has, and it gets to the final moment where he can't do it anymore. He has run out of energy and is due to turn at any moment. He's sitting on the ground, pale as can be, and you can either tell Clementine to shoot you to put you out of your misery, or to leave you and not see you turn into a zombie. All while you get your last words out as Lee, telling Clementine words that she'll likely never forget for the rest of her life, losing her entire family and having Lee be in the closest thing to family she had left, knowing that he is going to die and to see it happen right before her eyes and that she'll be all alone again. When you tell her to shoot you, she hesitates, crying, sobbing, barely able to speak, and shaking as she is trying to hold the gun to shoot Lee, with his final words being, "I'll miss you." Yeah, still one of the most emotional scenes in gaming even today. Level design is another notch in the immersion spectrum. Detailed environments from games like Red Dead Redemption, Cyberpunk 2077, or The Witcher 3 feature open worlds with intricate details. You can explore bustling towns, serene landscapes, and dynamic weather systems to make worlds feel alive. Environmental storytelling can say a lot without needing the character to actually say anything. I talk about Fallout a lot here, but a great example is the vaults within the Fallout games, as they are all so rich with environmental storytelling. Every vault tells a different story from another, as they are all set up as social experiments to see what would happen if we did X. Vault 22 is a location in Fallout New Vegas that holds a fascinating story of experimentation, environmental catastrophe, and the horrors of unchecked scientific curiosity. The story of Vault 22 revolves around an experiment conducted by Vault-Tec, the company responsible for building the vaults in the Fallout universe. Vault 22 was designed to test the viability of a self-sustaining ecosystem using a unique approach. The vault's inhabitants were provided with equipment to cultivate and grow plants, thus creating an underground oasis. However, the experiment took a dark turn. The vault dwellers succeeded in cultivating plants, but these plants carried an aggressive fungal spore called the Xanderreed mold. This spore infected the vault's inhabitants, causing them to turn into hostile plant-human hybrids known as spore carriers. The fungal infection spread rapidly, leading to panic and chaos within the vault. The inhabitants, desperate to struggle for survival, is reflected in terminal entries and logs found throughout the vault. These entries detail the gradual transformation of the residents into spore carriers, as well as their attempts to find a cure or escape the underground nightmare. The vault story is pieced together by exploring its dark corridors and reading the entries left behind by those who lived there. As players delve deeper into the vault, they uncover the full extent of the horror that unfolded within its walls. The narrative serves as a cautionary tale of scientific ambition gone awry, showing the consequences of tampering with nature and the dangers of experimenting without considering the possible consequences. The story of Vault 22 is a prime example of environmental storytelling, as players gradually uncover the tragedy and the horror that unfolded through the remnants of the vault itself. You get to see the spore carriers, you get to see the overgrown plants everywhere, you see the chaos of what happened here, the chaos of what remains, all told through the environment of the vault. There's more to level design, like hidden secrets, hidden rooms, notes, audio logs, which not only rewards players, but can make the world feel more connected. There's verticality and scale, where titles like Assassin's Creed and Mirror's Edge use vertical level design to offer a sense of scale, climbing tall buildings or leaping across rooftops, creating a feeling of being in a larger immersive world. This can also be seen in the opposite way in games like Grounded or It Takes Two, where the player is shrunken down and everything appears massive to really drive home how small you are in this new world. There's Atmosphere, which utilizes lighting, sound effects, or music to create immersive atmospheres. Things like echoing halls, distant streams, and haunting melodies contribute to the overall experience. There's Dynamic Interactivity, where it refers to the player's actions and choices influencing the game world and its elements in real time, leading to varied outcomes and a more personalized experience, which can include things as choice-driven narratives, open-world exploration, consequences of actions, multiple endings, dynamic AI, or environmental changes. These can be things like making choices that impact relationships with certain characters, or doing evil things and having your reputation go down and people actually treat you differently because of it. Or an example of dynamic AI is in Metal Gear Solid 5, where depending on how you infiltrate outposts, the enemies will prepare for you differently by doing things such as wearing night vision goggles, wearing helmets, deploying snipers, setting mines, setting up security cameras. All of this based on how you play the game. Integration of mechanics is another thing. An example I can use is in the Portal games, where the puzzle mechanics intertwine with level design, making the environment a vital part of the gameplay. In the Splinter Cell games, you're able to manipulate the environment by doing things such as shooting out lights, or for an out-the-box example, we can say Motorstorm Apocalypse, which uses the weather to destroy and alter parts of the track to completely change the course of the race. There's changing environments like in Metro Exodus where the weather and time of day affect gameplay and exploration. There's realistic architecture in historical games like Assassin's Creed where they use authentic architecture to create a sense of being in a specific time and place. These examples demonstrate how level design can go beyond just visual aesthetics to create a truly immersive gaming experience. The last thing I wanted to speak about when it came to immersion was gameplay mechanics. Well-designed mechanics can encourage exploration, decision making, and interactivity that can enhance the feeling of being in the game world. I touched on this a little bit in relation to level design, but now we're focusing on it a little more in depth. Mechanics that mimic real-world actions and behaviors can enhance immersion. A lot of games have a survival mode or survival mechanic that can make you do things such as sleep, eat, or drink. This by itself can change the way you play by making you use items you would normally use or explore areas that you wouldn't normally go. In Shadows of Doubt, a detective sim game, you can turn these options on and off as you wish. I play with them on, and the immersion the game has is great. You can walk to a diner, sit down, and a waitress will come and walk to your table to ask you if you want anything to eat, which you're then able to select them from a menu and they bring it out to you. You can then sit there eating your meal while also reading a newspaper, which actually give you information on the case that you're trying to currently solve. Every citizen in the world has their own tasks and life going on. You will see that when it's closing time at the diner, all of the workers will gather together and converse. You will see them cleaning up and shutting down the area for the night. You will see groups of friends come in and start talking amongst themselves. You will see people argue on the street. When you step outside, you'll begin to get cold over time and you'll begin to shiver. You'll need to actually go heat up by standing near a source of fire or standing inside. When it's raining outside, you'll become wet. When you drink, you can become drunk. And then when you eat something raw or rancid, you'll become nauseous and you will actually throw up. When you are in nasty sewer water, you will become stinky and must actually take a shower. You go to a crime scene and must actually take out a fingerprint scanner to look for prints that are all over the place, and they'll be on various items or even over the murder weapon and things of that nature. You can look at a person's last call, you can look at their address book, you can see their emails, you can watch camera footage, you can break a window and jump out and make a daring escape. If you die, you can wake up in the infirmary where you can pay your bills or try to run out and escape. There are so many mechanics and things which you can do in this game in particular that make it a great example of how great mechanics can keep you immersed in the game world and make you feel like you are an active participant in it. In conclusion, the concept of immersion in video games is a dynamic interplay of various elements, each contributing to the player's sense of presence, engagement, and emotional connection within the virtual world. From narrative depth and environmental storytelling to gameplay mechanics and audio-visual design, every facet collaborates to craft an experience that transcends mere entertainment. As gamers, we've all been transported to worlds teeming with stories, challenges, and choices that make us forget just about the real world. We've marveled at the intricate details of level design, felt the weight of decisions that shaped the fate of our characters, and lost ourselves in environments rich with history and lore. We've wielded controllers or VR headsets, becoming conduits between our intentions and in-game actions, blurring the line between the tangible and the imagined. It's the culmination of these elements that ignites the spark of immersion, enabling us to step into the shoes of heroes, explorers, and adventurers. As technology continues to advance, offering more sophisticated narratives, refined mechanics, and unparalleled audiovisual experiences, the future of immersion is ripe with potential. With every new title, developers strive to create worlds that captivate, intrigue, and envelop us, inviting us to dive deeper into realms both fantastical and familiar. So whether you're donning a VR headset to engage in unprecedented levels of interactivity or immersing yourself in the intricate web of environmental storytelling, remember that immersion is the culmination of a symphony of elements working harmoniously. As you embark on your gaming journeys, let yourself be carried away by the magic that is immersion, a testament to the boundless creativity of game designers and the insatiable curiosity of players seeking new realms to explore.